welcome, Dr. Mercer. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for just having this conversation with me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So even before we get started in our interview, I just want to bring up the most recent um, video that you were on recently with your mother. Do you want
Yes.
to? Yeah. What was that? What was going on in this?
Yeah, so we had the opportunity to be on Great Day SA. They kind of coined us as the mother-daughter duo, author duo. My mom is a children's book author, and she has written two books, the first two books of her trilogy. And so she was there talking about that and the project she has to serve children in Ghana and upcoming book signings that she has. And then I was there to also talk about my two books that are actually under Lead My Heart. They're books that I've been writing for leaders and got to talk about the executive coach wellness and vision workshop that I have as well as an onboarding for the workbook. So am
All
I
right.
yeah, so it was great. It was great to be on there.
Yeah, let me just give the audience a little preview of what that interview consisted of.
Okay.
Happy to have you. You are an international educator, speaker, and founder of Lead My Heart, executive coaching and consulting.
Right.
So you're providing people the resources they need to become leaders, and you learned from your mom. How
Absolutely.
incredible. How did this journey come about for you?
Well, for me, it was about, just wanting to really cultivate leaders in the most beautiful way that I possibly can and really inspire people to live with purpose and do everything being purpose driven. And so my book here, the 12D Wellness and Vision Workbook, it is the first book by Lead My Heart, and it helps leaders to integrate holistic wellness and faith into the vision for their life and leadership. And it's a great book that also has decision making strategies, scope, and other tools that can be applied to project and program management and also
Wow.
team building as well.
And it's like a workbook, right?
Yes, it
Which
is.
it's great to be reading and interactive so you can really put in the effort that you're actually wanting. So
Yes.
it's like, why not put in that work?
Why not put in that work? And I have a course that goes with it, a whole program. It's called The Well. And so people can join me on May 23rd for the next well, and it's the Executive Wellness and Vision Workshop. It's also the onboarding workshop for my group executive coaching program that
Okay.
utilizes this book. So it's teaching you how to use the book, but also building community with like-minded and purpose-driven
I
leaders.
love that. Networking, bonding,
All of it.
and empowering and helping one another. That's
Yes.
what it's all about. No competition.
No competition.
You got to help one another because there's something they have you don't, and there's something you have they don't. That's kind of how I like to think about it. So people can attend that workshop that you're going to be having.
Yes. So you have to register. So go to leadmyheart.com to learn more.
Okay, well, thank you so much. It was such an honor to meet you and your mom, beautiful souls. And if people want to reach you, how can they do that?
Reach me, and you can find all my contact information at leadmyheart.com. I invite organizations to come and have me speak about my books, also When Leaders Love, but also to consider one of my tailored executive coaching programs for your organization.
Great. All right. Well, you guys heard her. Thank you so very much for being with us. Stay with us, though, because there is a lot more coming.
Stay with us because I get a chance to talk to you about really like,
Feliz, First Mark's First Lady of Finance.
oh my,
First time home buyer.
hold
I think
on.
it was an ad.
First checking account. Hi. Okay, great. How about first car loan? Awesome. Congratulations. Well, you're all in
These
great hands.
technical
I know.
difficulties
It's all
always
those
happen.
ads.
It's like, okay, they're going to keep talking. So let me just shut that down in my background and come back to you. So congratulations on your journey. It seems as though you have an event that's coming up, and it's good to see that you and your mother were spotlighted. So tell us a little bit about your background so everyone can kind of appreciate who you are and your journey.
Yeah, so my journey to where I am today is I would not call it textbook or traditional or anything like that. It's definitely atypical. But I lean into it. I'm a career educator, first and foremost, over 16 years in education. And I was the one that said I would not be an educator. both of my parents are educators, and of course, here I come saying what I wasn't going to do, and then that was my path, and I absolutely love it. I know that God called me to educate, and no matter what I do, that's the kind of role that I find myself in. I did go to UIW here in San Antonio. I'm a three-time alumna of UIW, so you can say I loved it. But I went into different programs. So my bachelor's degree was in fashion. My master's degree was in administration and comm arts. And then I got a PhD in education. And to tell you that all of those were fitting, sometimes people will say, oh, it wasn't that wasn't for me. No, I loved it all. I use it all. And so, but it was during the time between my master's and my PhD that I really felt a call to leadership and really to dig deep into that. And then also I saw how like no matter what role I was in, I was always supporting my leaders and really coaching them in a way that I didn't even realize then, but I see it now, how God was always preparing me to do the very thing that I'm doing. And it was also during my doctoral studies that, during my research in workplace spirituality, that I saw how many researchers were saying that there was a big spiritual component that was missing from a lot of the change management and communication strategies and things that we often want to implement, but didn't realize how that was a spiritual component that was missing. And I was like, I see it. I
Mhm.
recognize it and I relate to that. And so I really felt like that's where God was calling me to be a champion.
Right.
And this whole idea of bringing spirituality into the workplace, into the marketplace, and realizing that people didn't have to choose. This is not a super religious or faith thing, and it's not, just sticking to the mundane, but it's like, no, they go together.
Go together.
I just think people just don't know how to bring it together in a way that makes it feasible and needed. And so that's where I fit in. I'm the one that comes in and I says, this is how you do it. And you don't have to compromise any of the goals that you have. You don't have to compromise the profit, right? You don't have to compromise your people or the planet and all those triple bottom lines that we want. You really can't have it all. And that key piece being purpose. And so that's a big part of how I got here.
Right.
And then when I did transition from being in China, that's a whole nother story for another day. But God sent me to China, and I was like, "What next?" And God led me to do Lead My Heart. I
Okay.
started doing workshops and things, and just really wanting to be a blessing to people, and here we are.
Well, our first conversation that we had was really a good one because we talked about the marketplace as a ministry. And even as I think about Global Chamber and I've been able to work with different people from all different parts of the world. And so when I talk about, for me, my faith is also Christianity. When I think about, the good news and how we have this great commission to spread the good news, right? From one corner of the earth to the other. I never imagined that there would be a virtual platform to
Wow.
do it on that would be able to connect, and I say 525 metropolitan markets together so that we can do the business of Global Chamber. But it's really relationship building. And so when I'm thinking about Dr. Mercer, with you coming on to Global Chamber San Antonio, I know it's going to be a real treat because our members are going to be able to touch into not just what's practical in business, because what works in business, typically the textbooks that we have for business says you have to do A, B, C, D,
Exactly.
and but there's a missing component to every textbook. And I believe it is the spiritual element of how do you live your life, how do you create the vision that has the purpose. And you preached on that actually.
Yeah.
But I just want you to again, when you're thinking about your calling to serve executives, and so you have clients who are executives, what does that look like? So our business members who are watching can say, oh, you know, I might be able to use her services because I have 100 people in on my team, and they are driving me crazy. But
Yeah.
should they drive you crazy, or is it the fact that you as a leader must do things differently to be able to lead people who may have a great difference of diversity, and how do you include that talent and use the gifts that they were all given? So I'll give it back to you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna answer this question by telling you what lead my heart means.
Very good.
And I'll be honest, I didn't come up with the name Lead My Heart. My niece did. God gave it to her, and she gave it to me because she understood what TT was doing. And she gave me, as soon as she said Lead My Heart, it was like I felt it in my chest
Okay.
that that was it. And I started to cry. And God has continuously been revealing to me what it is, and it really is a core part of the coaching philosophy. So let me break that down.
Yeah.
Lead, it speaks to the four roles that I feel are critical to leadership: to love, to educate, affirm, and deliver.
Okay.
Okay. Delivered being twofold, meaning you do what you say you're going to do. Absolutely. But leaders also realizing that a key skill that we must have is to be able to take people from one place to another. The, right? You have to show people that you have the ability to move them forward,
Right.
for them to see growth and development in everything that they're doing. So when I come to organizations, when I come to executives, that's where I start.
Mhm.
But then there's this idea of the heart piece. And the heart piece is helping us to see people as first spiritual beings. And what I mean by that is looking beyond the employee that you hired to do a job,
Okay.
and realizing that there, for example, with you, you're not just an executive, you are a father,
Mm.
right? You are a son, you might be a brother. Like you bring all of that to the global chamber and everything that you do. You don't get to shut that off and turn off a switch.
Right.
But it's saying that we have to see people as being whole people,
Mhm.
and that's what we hold in our heart. We have our hobbies, right? The things that we do so often, and habits, affirmations, and things that we aspire to eat, our experiences, but also our expectations, you know? And then the roles and responsibilities that we bring to the table. And then T, our traumas and our talents.
Mm.
It's all in our heart. And what we don't realize as leaders, that's what you're leading.
Right.
See, we think it would be great if you were just leading this. Do it. I told you how to do it. Just get it done. But that's not the reality. And the moment we begin to realize and change our mindset and our heart set towards the fact that we're leading people, and all that that encompasses, and that also requires getting to know people, knowing who's on your team, right? That gets back to what I was talking about earlier, building a great team, right? And knowing how to do that. So helping executives to understand that core philosophy is where it begins. And I'm telling you, it's transformative. It is transformative when you begin to see leadership through that lens. I don't come in and I don't tell myself I'm gonna grow your business, and that's not my lane.
Okay.
There are wonderful people who do that. That's not who I am. But I come and I impact your culture, right? But I also see how your culture also has to be in your infrastructure. It also has to be in your policies and procedures, right? So I'm not coming in just preaching the gospel. Right? It's not that. But I'm coming in and I'm showing you how to take these strategies and build it into the very thing that you're doing every day to build a living and breathing organization that is thriving. Many organizations are graveyards where people and ideas go to die.
Mm. Say
But
that again.
my goal is to
Wow.
come in and made that graveyard a garden. A garden where people are cultivated and nurtured. And when you begin to do that, they're gonna get back to you. And you're gonna what, reap more, right? Than what you sowed.
And that's very important. And when you think about, executive leaders, we have to also have integrity, and that integrity has to be consistent because our people, our employees are looking at, how we hold ourselves accountable.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that as you are working within the organization's culture, when I was in the United States Air Force, we used to have this annual survey of the unit that would occur through the Equal Opportunity Office. And it was one of those things where most people just hated. They hated
Yeah.
to know that there was this mandatory survey. But what we were able always to unpack for the leader was the what people were thinking, what they were saying, and then we were able to give the leader the ability to correct um, the culture that was that not very positive, and then also give support to leaders who were in the culture that were not able to execute the mission because
Yeah.
they didn't either have a shared vision for where the unit was going, or they simply were very different in terms of how they saw their own leadership. So
Mm,
there's always something that you can learn from your people, and then having that respect, that love for your people, and then being able to give your people the truth about their own behavior, their own work ethics, how they juggle their time. These are all things in which we would do as a part of our organizational development and behavior, modification strategy. So I'm with
love
you
it.
on that. And so now that you have this amazing company that you're able to wake up every day and really align your spiritual component of who you are to a very practical business focus, um, what do you see as your growth and the opportunities for you to serve? Because this is you have more of a servant leadership model in your business. So how do you approach that?
That's a great question, right? For me, and I want to make sure I understand your question when you say growth, like my growth projection. Are you saying in terms of working with clientele, or are you talking about people that I bring on to work with me? I want to make sure that I get the perspective that you want.
Yeah, I think it's really both, because
Okay.
when we think very linear about growth, then we may shortchange ourselves to know that we may be helping our client, but we also have the internal growth
Yes.
of scaling our companies. And I think
Yes.
for small businesses, and you're not a large business, so with scaling your own company, we really have to be considerate of the fact that as you grow with your clients, you also personally and with your business will grow.
Yes. So perfect. Let's first talk about the clientele aspect of it. So for growth for me, and I wanna do this both vertical and horizontal. Okay. Um, for me, it's so crucial for me to develop relationships with organizations. If you're wanting someone to come in, pop in, do a great workshop and leave, and you never see them again, but they left some great nuggets, I know some wonderful people who can do that. For me, I'm really looking to impart and to help transform. And that is not a 1 hour, kind of 2 hour thing. And I really want people to understand that, because I'm bringing the coaching aspect to this, and that it really does take partnership and wanting and getting to know people. Just like I'm trying to encourage executives to get to know their team, well, it's important that you work with an executive coach who's partnering with you in your organization, that you know them, you trust them, and you're really developing a great relationship with them. Because I consider myself a spiritual architect, and that I'm coming into the organization and I'm help building a bridge between you and your team. And it's so important that there's trust there.
Right.
Okay, that they can have candid conversations with me, that I can build rapport with them to help provide different perspectives in a way that's you're not going to do that with someone you just like met, right? But it's important for that team to know I'm just as invested in your growth and development as I am the organization as a whole. And so I'm building that bridge between what your individual team members need and desire and want and what the organization wants. So I see that as that vertical kind of going deeper growth, right? But then I do want to say to, organizations too, it doesn't matter how big or small you are.
Mhm.
Don't see this as, oh, well, this might be too much on a global scale. Well, let's start with your executive team. Let's start there. And then let's maybe work with a department where you see the greatest need, right? So I don't want anyone to feel like this isn't for them because of a certain number of teams. So that's that. But then I'm also available to create online courses. Okay. So that's another thing that I'm going to start doing, like even the well, because people have been reaching out to me and saying, I'm not in San Antonio, but I want to be a part of this because there also is an online coaching component to it. But I have to do the onboarding first. So then
Right.
that requires me to be able to do a course, and I can. Like my website is amazing where I can host unlimited courses through my website. So that's also, because again, I want to be very mindful of the reach, the branding, and everything being on par as to what my values are. And I have the ability to do that through my website. Now let's talk about on the back end, people. I'm looking for like-minded people who feel called to this work.
Okay.
I really am. I would love to partner. This is not the Wanita show. It is not. So if there are people, and you don't have to have a background in coaching. I don't. Like I'm certified in both life coaching and executive coaching. I have the PhD, but I'm saying you have to have the heart for it. And I'm wanting to attract people to this work who have the same heart for leadership and the growth and the care of executives in the way that I do. Because let me tell you the vision for Lead My Heart. The vision for Lead My Heart is that any way we can support executives, we have it. And even if it's not directly in LMH, it's in partnership with people
Okay.
who provide it.
Mhm.
And if you're having struggles within your family and needing therapy and care, I want you to be able to call LMH and say, how can you help support, my family in this endeavor? I got you, right? If you're needing concierge medical care because of your schedule, you just can't get to the doctor. I wanted you to be able to say, how can you help me? I know someone. I got you. As a matter of fact, someone who was just at the well does that. What? And so, do you see what I'm saying? I'm praying and God is sending the people. But that's the vision, to really provide the best care and support for executives, for people to thrive and do what God has called them to do. And that is to lead, to have great influence, and to create opportunities for other people to do their best work.
Love it. One of our conversations that we talked about how sometimes people want there to be a disconnect between one's faith and one's business. I think that we like to talk about the split between church and state.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the biggest lie of all time. And then when I start thinking about my faith walk and then also really tying into why business is important to me, I'm just reminded that my Lord and Savior, he actually recruited business people from the marketplace to
That's right.
be disciples. And so whether it was Matthew as a tax collector, whether it was Judas, who actually, was a treasurer, who had great business skill and acumen.
Peter and Andrew Fisherman.
So business people need to know that there's not a separation. And
Oh,
when you talked about the well, I know that there's great things that happened at the well. Even as we started our conversation at 12 o'clock today, just to prep. I remember that there was a noon hour that occurred where a Samaritan woman was at the well, and she had her encounter, right?
Yes, indeed.
And so this well that you have is not only represents wellness, but it also
But
talks about the supply that can be provided by the living water at the well. So you're providing that to executives, and I think it's going to be really cool working with you. How do you want to close? What do you want to tell us?
I also want to let people know that the well can come to your organization too, right? So I see vision for that. I feel like, for people who want to do that wellness program at their organization, let's do it. Like I'm not, the good thing about me, I'm not tied to anything. I am a content creator in my sleep. I just want to serve. I want to serve organizations. I want to see lives change. I want people to see that the work that they're doing is a big part of their life. Why? Because you have one life.
And one
You don't
life.
have the work life. When you have your performance evaluation with God, He's gonna talk about it all, right? And so we have to realize that the more fulfilled you're going to be is by everything being in alignment. And if it's not in alignment, having the courage to bring it into alignment. And I think a lot of people find themselves in places where they feel like they don't have a choice, but we do have choices. But there can be a plan behind behind the choice that needs to happen. I also want to bring attention to my books. So this is my first leadership devotional. There will be many more, I assure you. This is When Leaders Love, and it challenges this paradigm, right? It's a paradigm shift in thinking that love doesn't belong in the workplace, or it's not something that we should talk about. But I'm going to leave you with this. There's a lot of emphasis on affirmation in organizations. And it should be. People should be affirmed. But perhaps the overemphasis on affirmation is simply because people don't feel loved.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And if they felt loved and seen, maybe there wouldn't be such an overemphasis on me having to hear the words or getting the pat on my back, because that's the only way I feel that you want me here. you know? And so the book has 31 devotionals. In fact, I encourage everyone to get it today and start their May off right. You can get it as an ebook on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, as well as in print. But it challenges you to look at forgiveness and empathy and courage and how you demonstrate it. And it also is a call to action in that book for you to show that every single day for 31 days.
Wow.
And so it really can be a powerful book, not only transforming you, but your organization as well.
That's a good challenge right there. That's a real good challenge. And we'll talk probably more about that, because this is just a teaser, folks. This is just a teaser. I wanted you to get to meet my new friend, Dr. Wanita Mercer. I do know that when I met your mother, she's a powerful woman.
She
And
is.
yeah, she was actually on that interview just prior to. And when I met her, she was really very supportive, loving, talking you up. And I was like, wow. I said, yeah, that was a special. I also want to say this, because we name drop men in the Bible and so forth.
Yeah.
And yes, I do talk Bible in my chamber. I don't care.
Let's do it.
Right. But I just want people to know that, hey, Lydia in the New Testament was a maker of purple dye. Purple dye was very expensive. But the movement of that was funded came through people like Lydia. And then Priscilla, remember Priscilla, she was a teacher. And so therefore, again, we're talking about both men and women being able to be used in the marketplace for a bigger purpose. And so in your expression and your books and your ability to help executives to change lives, this is how companies become global and unstoppable. It's because they have something more on the inside of them than what you even know. And in many of our leaders who are running companies, they will tell you straight up, they don't rely on their own understanding for a lot of decisions that they make. So this is going to be a treat. I think that Dr. Mercer, welcome to the board of Global Chamber San Antonio, and congratulations on everything that you're doing. I do recognize that you do have an event in May, and this is the month of May. So
Yep.
tell people again how they can get registered and be a part of your event, and then we'll close.
Absolutely. So the Well is happening Thursday, May 23rd. That's the next one. And just a reminder that the Well is teaches you how to utilize the 12D Wellness and Vision workbook, but it's also an onboarding for the group executive coaching. And I'm telling you, y'all, this is the first year I'm launching it. You want to get in on this deal, okay? So I tell people it won't be this price forever. So you get in on it now. And it's only $50, y'all. It is a token of appreciation, okay? And it includes your book, it includes workshop materials, a hot lunch, and LMH membership for the rest of the year, which also entitles you to discounts to other courses that I do, like how to self-publish and any other course I come up with that I think is great for entrepreneurs, even like how to start an internship program. I'll also teach that for entrepreneurs who want to have a greater impact. So y'all don't miss it. It's going to be at Meals on Wheels San Antonio, a really great organization that I also love to support. So go to leadmyheart.com and click on events, or you can go to leadmyheart.com/LMH events and click on the Well for May. There's also one in June, but I need the May one to fill up, okay? So we're only going to talk about that one right now, but I really hope to see you there.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And we appreciate everything that you shared with us. More to follow from Global Chamber San Antonio. And I thank you all for being a part of this very special interview with Dr. Mercer.
Thank you.